Hello and welcome to the full-length version of the Silverstone Grand Prix race in the 2019 Formula One cars. There's one very important rule when doing this type of racing here, and that is never pass more than 4 cars when you are off track. So when we get to this very first corner, you see 4, 5, 6 cars. That is too many. So I'm going to pass this guy before I go off track. You're going to see that here. There, I got credit for him. Now, I could have passed one of those cars in front of me, but not both. I didn't do it this time. I usually do. And then this corner is fine. You're not going to have to worry about passing more than 4 here. And then we're right into the action here. Catch a little bit of draft from these guys, get in front of them, get a little bit of a push. And you got to watch, if you get too much of a push, you're going to go flying off this corner. Then we're taking this full speed. And then we're into this awesome section. I like doing just one braking point here, but this time around I'm going to have to do more than that. Was going to do an inside pass. Last second I went for the outside. Don't want to get a lot of damage. Damage will slow you down. Now we're jumping right into this. Things are going to be flying by. It's going to slow down a little bit later. Oh, nuts. Already got some contact. Take it easy. There's 2 ways to cut this corner. The way I just did it takes more time, but you get more on track racing. So you got to plan that out and decide what you want to do for different parts of the race. For this early part of the race, trying to get to the Perpetual point, cutting more is better. Now, why are all these numbers on these cars? That's because One Shot came up with the 42 car theory. That's what I'm calling it. He said that he finds there are 42 cars to pass before you reach the Perpetual point. So I thought it would be a great idea to keep track of the cars I'm passing while we're doing this today. And this gets a little bit dicey. I'm going to thread the needle. And these guys, they still have the Ghost Nitro, where you pass them and they can go faster than you for 5 seconds, which is kind of a pain in the butt. And you got to be ready for it in these later stages, or they will pit you. So here I'm going to carefully get a push. They're not going to be too fast yet. Now, we're not even done lap 2, and there is the 29th car. So you might think passing 42 cars is easy. Not necessarily. Okay, the cut I took there, if you take that properly, like that was pretty good. You're going to shave a second off your lap. Okay, here is why you never pass more than 4 cars. A little screen's going to pop up here. Here I am hitting corner number 1, and watch what happens. Okay, so my timer, watch the timer there. When that hits 85, the game crashes. It's gone. When you pass more than 4 cars while you're off track, the game seems to decide that you are one of the disappearing cars. And so once your timer hits that 5 seconds mark, which is 85 seconds, it takes 5 seconds for a car to disappear. Once that happens, you're done. So if you passed 5 cars and that put your timer at 79 seconds, at 74 seconds, you're going to lose it. And by lose it, I mean the game totally crashes, automatically restarts, you lose all of your race. That sucks. That is one reason why I do not like Silverstone GP. However, this is the only endless endurance option in this car, in any F1 car. There's no other track you can do this on. I was convinced it could be done at Monza Road Course, but it can't. I've tried it many times. People who are better than me have tried it. We can't do it. This is it. So right now, this corner isn't a problem. This will become a concern very soon for every single subsequent lap. And so, let's see here. I think this is going to be the 41st car. Yep, there we go. And here, this is kind of fun. You can draft a ghost. That can get kind of creepy sometimes. But you can draft off the ghosts, and the ghosts can wreck you. Okay, race location. We are over in the Invitational Series, and that's where you want to do this race. You don't want to do this in the 2019 Championship. I'm going to get into that later. You definitely can, and I was doing it that way for a while until I realized it's not good. I'm running Tilt B with sensitivity on 2, and all assists have to be off if you're going to do this. You can't have any on. You don't have to use Tilt B. I find that it's best though. Tilt B is the best way to control skidding in a car. And you don't have to use sensitivity too. That's a personal preference. It works best for me. I know other people that like 0 and other people who like up to 4. Much higher than that, and it's going to get a little hard. There's the 42nd car, and look at that. Perpetual point. Now, how do I know this is the perpetual point? Because there's no cars in front of me. I just keep watching. There you go. See? Whole bunch of cars. So you know what? It looks like One Shot's theory could be right. Oop, I lost it there. Caught some draft and it threw me off. Now, I haven't tested this in other endurance races, so I'm going to keep paying attention to that, because that's a very interesting observation that I've just never made. And he said that he keeps track of that. So pretty cool, man. Looks like that theory is bang on. So this is the scary part. I'm doing really good right now. Sometimes my timer's at 20 at this point. And you don't want to be at the point of desperation, because that'll force you to do something you don't want to do at that first cut. Now, coming up here, I'm going to take the big cut this time around because I want to catch a couple of cars now. You see, if I would have taken the other cut, I would have banked more on-track driving, but I don't think I would have overtaken those two guys, which would make me a little more desperate as I get to this point. So now I'm going to slow down early, take a peek around that corner. Okay, I'm good to keep going. If there's a whole whack of cars there, you might actually have to stop, which kind of sucks. So heading into that section, you really have to pay attention. You've really got to be watching to see how many cars are in front of me again. I got to be more careful there. Now my timer is really nice and full, like 80 seconds. Doesn't matter if I pass another car for the rest of this lap. If I had 50 seconds at that point, I would have been fine. It would have been touchy, but I would have been fine. So here I can brake right here into the, I blew it. I hate it when I do that. Okay, well, I'm going to get that right and comment on that later. That wasn't a good time. Okay, here we are heading into Stowe corner, and you got to be careful at Stowe because it's uphill and then downhill. And so that can throw you off a little bit. And here I'm going to take the more on-track version. You see how in control I was? No skidding at all. And that takes practice. You got to know just how much you have to brake to avoid skidding. Now I'm at 63 seconds. I really only have to pass 3 cars. So because I was so far behind, I'm not going to check. Woohoo! I cut that close, didn't I? I knew there was no way I was going to be passing more than 4 cars there. Hey, you know, there's something cool you can do sometimes, and that is ghost drafting. So look out. There is some drafting of a ghost. I thought I'd throw that in there to be funny. But seriously, you do have to be careful when you're passing cars at this point. For some reason, there is ghost nitro, and these guys will be able to drive faster than you after you pass them. Already, as it is, at this point in a race, cars drive faster than a fully upgraded car. And you'll see that on the straights. They're still going to be horrible in the corners, but on the straights, they will pull away from you. So, when you pass them exiting a corner, they just take off like a rocket. Now here, my timer's low, so I'm gonna blast past those guys. Be careful, watch to my left. You see that? They'll go flying off track almost every single time if you do that. It's really funny. So you have to know where they're going to drive to avoid that. Now I don't know what I'm heading into here, so I'm gonna take it easy, look to my, okay, we're good. Keep going. Oh, nuts. Okay, recover from that, I'm okay. 82 seconds, that's probably gonna wreck the rest of this lap. Where he hit me will not slow me down. Okay, let's get into this. Damage. What does damage do to you? Okay, if you get a big enough hit, even a minor hit, there's going to be about 2-3 levels of damage. Seems to depend on the car a bit. I haven't tracked it for every single car, but in general, there's going to be 3 levels. So there's your normal car, there's a moderately damaged car, and then there's a totaled car. And each one is going to degrade you to a degree. Okay, so when you get damaged, your top speed goes down, your acceleration time increases, so it takes longer to accelerate, your braking distance increases, so your brakes are worse, and your grip goes down, so you're going to slide out easier. In this car, I really only notice the grip loss, and I really notice it because I'm used to flying into the corners at a certain speed, or I'm using certain braking points. And once that grip drops, that car is going to slide out on you. So minor hits and you'll get level 1, and then once you get enough of those bigger hits, level 2. So going all the way back, I took a big side hit. A lot of times you can get away with this. By the way, look at this. See how I didn't slide once? That takes practice. So from the second, before I even go off track, I'm already planning that out. You have to do very mild input to the steering, almost let the car steer itself. And that sounds bizarre, but what I found was if I tilt a little bit, the car will catch up, and then I can tilt a little bit more, and you can stay full throttle for an incredibly long time if you get it correct. It's tricky. So we want to avoid damage as much as possible and avoid skidding as much as possible. So heading into here, 24 seconds, you can guarantee, well, I was going to take that other cut. However, I took a look and they were right where I wanted to be. So my options were slow down or take a bit of an in-between cut. And so that's why I took the in-between cut. So here we are at nearing 50 kilometers. Now I don't know what I'm heading into. No, that looks, oh, I could have actually blasted through that. I got credit for 2, that's good. You have to be extremely careful where I am. You'll notice that I keep checking the rear view mirror when I'm in that section. That's because you have to know where those cars are. If there's 2 cars coming up behind you, then it's very easy for one of them to pit you. If there's just one, then I'm actually going to block him and let that nitro ghost push me. But don't steer when you're doing that. If you're steering while you're trying to get a push from a nitro ghost, very good chance he's going to pit you. See if I do this right. No, come on. Well, that's about what I wanted to do. I probably hit that a few times really nicely, but I was busy telling you about something else. Heading into Stowe again, short braking point into the gas before that rumble strip, and just blast through this. There's no one around. Well, if there's no one around to pass, I'm going to take the route that keeps me more on track. And I'm just getting more earnings per minute if I do that. And I really only need to pass 1 car right here. I wouldn't mind getting a couple. Let's see what I get. Ooh, I only got 1. Well, that puts a little bit of pressure on me because at this point, I won't be able to make any big mistakes. Not that I want to, but even a minor mistake, that's a minor mistake. But I got 1, so that's good. At this point, yeah, I don't have to sweat it too much. So I mentioned it before, but if there's no one around you, you can go into Copse corner here, full speed, don't have to worry about a thing. But if you're getting a draft or being pushed, you might. And then this is Maggotts heading into the Becketts complex, and then we're getting into the Chapel curve. So you really only need to be braking once. And that is a very high speed section. Fabulous section. Kind of a funny name for a corner, Maggotts. But anyway, there you go, Maggotts, Becketts complex. And then here, oh no. Oh my, that was the wrong decision. I should have taken the right-hand cut. Okay, well, I most likely have damage from that. That was a big hit, and some of my front end was involved. And I better be careful. Oh boy, see, here's one of those points. If I didn't slow down there, I would have lost this race. I just got credited for passing 4 cars, and then I stayed on the far left until I was past the ghost point. The ghosts will disappear by the bridge. So oftentimes I stay to the far left, stay totally out of their way. Okay, being really damaged, I'm still going to be okay at Copse, but I'm not going to be okay as I'm getting to the Becketts complex and Chapel curve. So I want to be braking towards the end of this rumble strip, and then there you go. Now I know for sure, because that was the perfect way to take that, and my car couldn't handle it. I've definitely lost grip. So all that I have to do is just back it up a little bit, lay back a little bit. But that kind of mistake, that's a 10-second mistake, basically. It's very costly to have them drive off on you like that. Now I'm going to get a 28-second credit when I cross the line. So that's a nice boost. And don't need much more than this to finish a lap. But you're just going to get too desperate later on. So I know I'm going to be fine blasting through this. Let's see what I get. Oh, I got credit for 2. I don't know where they are. I'm going to stay out of their way. There you go. That ghost just disappeared beside me. Don't know if you saw that. By the way, did you know that there's a guy sitting there in that barrier? It's really quite funny. I'm going to show you that in a little bit here. There's a guy sitting there in the barrier, and he's deciding whether you went off track or not. I think he's sleeping. because I've been substantially off track every single time, and the only penalty I get is that little red distance marker telling you that you ain't earning a thing while you're doing this. And that's just it. Some people really say this is cheating. This isn't cheating. There is a penalty, and I'm accepting that penalty because of the advantage that it affords me. So I'm giving up earning currency while I'm off track for the advantage of momentum. Ah, look, there's a 3. And watch to the left. Boom, he goes sliding off track. However, that second guy gave me a push. Got to be careful. So you got to know at what point will the ghosts disappear. And look at my clock. Nice clock. I don't have to push it here. And nothing to worry about there. Oh boy, I was really, oh boy, I should have been more careful. I don't know where they are. Oh look, see there, he's disappearing. Always clear by the bridge. Nothing to worry about by the bridge. And here's the picture I promised you. He is not very impressed that I am cutting this corner. Kind of funny, but I like the attention to detail. There's guys like that in different places that are watching to see if you're doing something illegal. During time trials, they definitely do their job. During this race, they let it slide. So this isn't about me trying to find a way to beat people. This is about me earning currency. And I'm making it all in one long race. Oh, now watch this as we head into Stowe. I expect these guys are going to wreck. And oh, they didn't do too bad that time. Sometimes they wreck. Okay, I learned my lesson. Take it a little bit easy. I might not have maximum damage. Oh, that was bad. I didn't do very well there. But look, still have a full timer, lap 15. Really only need to get to the end of lap 20. It depends how you drive this. If I do less cutting, then I really don't even have to go to the end of lap 20. The approximate perfect distance is 106.96. I believe that is the math that I've done in the past, is 106.96 kilometers will earn you 200,000 M. However, you need a third decimal place, and we just don't have that. So rather than trying to get that perfectly, I take it to 107. And that is going to be a safe distance. You could go further if you want to, because the fame earnings in this race are awesome. Really, really awesome. Unfortunately, you can't hire the agent. However, you can run this race on bonus fame days and get credit for it. So I generally don't go past 107 because I'm not going to get any M dollars for it. And a few people in the past have said, well, why don't you just keep going to get the fame? Because of the stress of this race, because of this very first cut, that you never want to blow it because you're going to lose everything you've done. In other cars, I've been at this point, oh, better be careful again. Yep, I would have lost the race again. I've been in cars, let's see, McLaren MP4X. I had a race here. I was about 150 kilometers in when I made that mistake because I didn't know about it. Same with the Mazda 787, 787B, I believe. I was doing it in that car doing this race, and same deal, passed too many cars. Oh, actually, that was the Silverstone 2009 bridge circuit. Different cut, way bigger cut. Very, very easy to have that race crash. Got to be careful. Most other times, the only other race that this can happen is in certain Dubai circuits. There's a very big cut you can take, so that can also happen there. In the rest of the game, you can't really pass more than 4 cars while off track. Ah, there you go, see? There was a bit of a wreck. The one guy got really loose. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to let him tag me a little bit. I'm not too worried about that, especially since I'm going to fill the timer up right here. People often ask me, why are you passing bots when you have time on the clock? Why are you taking so many off-track cuts? Because that is the only way to get this far. If you try to keep this all on track and only pass bots when your timer's below 80, you'll never get this far. Nowhere near it. 56, 57 kilometers, but if you want to go this far, gotta drive crazy aggressive right from the start. I didn't want to drive to the right of the barrier back there. I did that because I didn't want to skid the car, so it just helped me keep momentum. It is harder to handle this car right now because of the damage that I took. And that's the other thing. That's the other reason why I don't do this race for a real long time. It's a hard race. This is a really hard race, actually. So, woo boy, I lost it there. I was braking a bit late. I was pushing it. I saw that guy. I wanted to catch him. It's stressful to drive this intensely for this long, and it's really not all that long. Ooh, he wrecked again. I gotta watch it. You're coming around Stowe, and they're gonna slide over a lot. Wow, that's a big gaggle of cars. Those three there, one guy in front of me. No, I didn't get a ghost push. I thought I might. So at this point, I actually want to lay back a little bit more because I really don't want to lose the race right now after I've invested this much. Oh, nice and clear, nothing to worry about there. One car to be worried about. I'm going to stay out of his way. Does he appear? Nope. Nice smooth driving here. Ooh, that was really close. I'm going to have to brake a tiny bit here. Depending on where you get back on track, you may or may not have to brake. So if I would have got back on track more to the left, I would have spent more time off track, lost more speed, and had a better trajectory going into the corner. If I rejoin earlier, I get more on-track driving, but I will have more speed, so I have to brake a little bit, especially when I've got damage like I do now. But look at that. If you take that Maggotts, Becketts, Chapel really well, and if you take Copse really well, you can catch up on the bots even though you're damaged. Oh, nuts! That was close. Man, I was nowhere near that guy and he wrecked. I thought they only did that after I gave them a push, but... And then look at that. It's really funny how they do that when you're on their inside line. Okay, we're getting close to the end of this race. And so what I start to do as I get near the end of the race is I'm going to start taking less off-track cuts because I want to wind down the clock. Now, it's a little bit early right now, I think. Yes, this would be a little bit early. So I'll take this cut one more time, taking the bigger one. I didn't mean to go to the right of it. And that's okay. It's kind of a catch-22. You can start the off-track cut later, and you will have more speed as you're heading off track, which can also mean it's a little bit harder to control your car. So there's multiple things to consider. Another great question I get asked is why not just do 3 other races? Well, you're going to need 2 cars to do that, or you're going to have to service your car in between that, and that takes a while. Also, it takes longer because this is going to take me 23 minutes and 50 seconds of actual race time. Doing 2 long races and 1 shorter races is about that same amount of time. However, I'm only doing the initial loading screen and the end of the race loading screen once. If you do it the other way, you've got to do that 3 times each, so that takes longer. Now, there's some more risks in doing this, but it's also kind of a challenge, kind of a fun thing to do once in a while. So that's mostly why I do this. And also, hopefully we see more increases in the daily $M amount that we can earn. And as that increases more and more, this becomes a more and more attractive option. Now, here I am winding down my laps a little bit, driving more on track. Okay, let's get to another great question. And that is, why not just do this in the 2019 Championship Series? All right, look at how much fame I earned. Look at the distance. I'll go the same distance, give or take a tiny bit. But look at that fame, 10,970. Now, I love driving my McLaren. It's extremely similar to the Ferrari, but I just like it a little bit more. However, this race does not exist in the McLaren Invitational Series. Do you need to be fully upgraded to do this? Well, not necessarily, but you really should. I mean, it's really hard for me in a fully upgraded car. And also, as I'm saying, as you'll see soon, the benefits. Fully upgrade one of your cars. Now, let's get to donuts. Throw it over to sensitivity 10. Makes it way easier to do this. Huck it around. I did a little bit of braking there. There we go. Now I'm going to pull out of the donut, go back into it a tiny bit to get the car closer to me because I want to do something that kind of is a fun thing for me to do, and I want to make the car do donuts around us. There we go. I got that point. I love doing that. It's kind of cool. Switch views so we can see how much time is left. I keep gaining and losing a tiny bit of distance depending on the point of my donut. I don't really care at this point because I've gone more than enough. Now remember, 10,970? Well, how about 36,610? That is more than 3 times as much fame for the exact same amount of racing, and I only wasted 443 $M. So as you can see, I've got this pretty sorted out as far as how far you have to go. Awesome fame earnings in this race without having to spend gold on the agent. Kind of wish we could to double it, but not going to happen. And we also see that the 42 car theory works. I'm interested to see if that works in other races as well. So if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe. Thank you for joining me, and happy racing.